And you must be very happy that Trump is saying today that he has no problem shutting down the government. He was very clear about that today. If he doesn't get the money for more border security.
Yes, I am, but he better do it. I've heard him say a lot of great things, and then back away. And you saw that already. Mitch McConnell and Paul Ryan are saying, "Oh no, we can't get to this until after the midterms." Oh yeah, it'll be much easier when you have an all Democratic Senate, or rather House.
Well, but that's the thing. I mean, he's saying he's willing to shut down the government before the election. So he's kind of calling their bluff.
And he ought to. He ought to, because that's the only thing that would prevent a huge blue tsunami. I mean, if that's why he signed that horrendous, appalling omnibus bill in the summer, so we could wait until right before the election to stage a huge fight over the wall, that would be a genius move. But he's got to actually do it, because he said a lot of stuff about the wall. The saying stuff has been fantastic. The doing stuff, not so solid.
So do you think he would shut down the government? Do you believe him, Ann? Or do you think it's the art of the deal sequel?
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. It would be very smart for him to. I will encourage him to.
And I just read a story. This just moved over the Washington Times website. This is going to, I hope you're sitting down for this one. Illegal immigrants are furious about the treatment they have received after being detained at the border, complaining of bad burritos and cold soup.
That is not the headline. You're making that up.
No, that's the lead. That's the lead on the story. They're complaining they're also claiming that they're being that it's cold in the detention facilities, and the Border Patrol says that's because they're not used to air conditioning, and how about this one, Ann? Listen to this.
I'm sorry, I shouldn't laugh, but they shouldn't be here. The solution to this is what would it be? What was the chant at every single rally for 18 months during Trump's campaign?
Build a
wall. That shuts all this down. This idea, I was just seeing, allegedly good people on, this is why nothing ever gets done properly on immigration. All of the immigration groups in Washington, they need to behave like the gun rights people. They need to stop saying, "Oh yes, we feel so sorry for the ones at the border." No, we want a wall at the border. It's not the American taxpayer's job to be housing, feeding, caring for, supplying daycare to the hordes of people.
Don't forget the Wi-Fi
on our border.
Don't forget the Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi plus the soup and the burritos.
And the air conditioning.
How many people are there in the world? 7 trillion? We can't take them all in. That's why we need a wall. This isn't our job. We have our own poor people. We have our own criminals. Don't need Latin Americas.
Several parents said their children contracted chicken pox from others in detention. So they don't want to be detained, but they want the other people detained to prevent their kids from picking up chicken pox, even though our kids are getting whooping cough, tuberculosis, and God only knows what else from these illegal aliens that are coming in with no quarantine and just being shipped off around the country to go on welfare wherever they damn well please.
Yes, that is disturbing that they're picking up chicken pox. I mean, that means they're bringing in chicken pox. And if the other illegals don't want their kids getting chicken pox, I am pretty sure Americans don't want their kids getting chicken pox. So
you got to read this story, and it'll really drive you crazy. We're gonna tweet it out. Have we tweeted it out yet, Steve? We'll tweet it out immediately, so you can see it. Did you see the story from last week here in Boston about the new U.S. attorney they arrested 28 illegal aliens, or 28 people, 25 of whom were illegal aliens who were illegally collecting welfare benefits. One of them was an escaped murderer who had fake identification and had gotten a driver's license here at the Registry of Motor Vehicles. They all had fake driver's licenses, which they then used to go to the Medicaid offices and get on Medicaid, which automatically puts them on every form of welfare available. And then most of them, or at least 19 of them, were supplementing their income, and mostly by selling heroin.
Our immigration system's working great. just great. And the Democrats don't care. So, some
Well,
percentage of them are...
here's the key, and you'll really enjoy this. As soon as Jeff Sessions came into town to make the announcements about all these illegal alien heroin dealers and murderers being arrested and taken off the streets with their who were collecting welfare fraudulently, do you know who immediately arrived on the scene at the federal courthouse to protest the arrests of the illegal alien heroin dealers? Good guess. The Democrat candidate for governor, a guy named Jay Gonzalez.
Well, that's what I was starting to say. The Democrats don't care that a certain percentage of both legal and illegal immigrants will be bringing in dread diseases that we had long eradicated from our country, that they'll be ripping off our government assistance programs meant for our own people, and the donors don't care. The Koch brothers don't care. They get their cheap labor. The Democrats get the votes. They just don't care. They're not the ones living next to the chicken poxed illegal aliens. They're not the ones whose kids are going to school with them. They're not the ones whose wages are going down. It really is the most vicious attack on America's middle class. And, it's bad enough with the Democrats, but at least they have a clear goal in mind. They want to wreck America. When Republicans sign on to this just so they can take a cush corporate job when they leave the office just to please their donors, it really is so despicable. I so hate them, Howie Carr.
Who do you dislike more, Nancy Pelosi or Paul Ryan?
First, consider the fact that that's actually a totally legitimate question.
That's what I thought. I always try to ask totally legitimate questions, Ann.
That is so horrifying, and off the top of my head, it isn't clear. I think it would have to be Paul Ryan. Nancy Pelosi is sort of comedic. She's also not long for this world. I mean, I'm always pointing out that this it just shows, wow, what we've always said. Democrats are the evil party, Republicans are the stupid party. Republicans do not care that they are signing their own suicide note by insisting on all of this cheap labor for their donors. But the interesting thing is the Democrats are going to be the first party, at least the current Democrats. That's why all of the Democrats you can name are have one foot in the grave. It's all like Nancy Pelosi and Steny Hoyer and Di-Fi. Oh no, it's about to be an all-new Democratic Party and no room for white Americans.
Well, I mean, there's no room for Joe Crowley, that's for sure. And in California, they're trying to make sure there's no room for Dianne Feinstein.
Right.
And
look at the California legislature. Look at California for your future, America. In California, the legislature, there are no Joe Bidens, also 120 years old. There are no Nancy Pelosi's. It's all, the Hispanic Democrats against the Black Democrats, against the Asian Democrats, and needless to say, the Republican Party is basically illegal in California. And soon, they'll have the Muslim Democrats. Once you have a multi-ethnic society, people break down along tribal lines and not along ideological lines. So, I mean, at least we'll have a few things to look forward to watching the destruction of the country.
844-500-4242. One of our texters from North Carolina says, tell Ann the Border Patrol hat works great in the checkout line at the supermarket. You just go up wearing it, and then all of a sudden you have a clear path. You don't have to wait.
Yeah, except the cashier may have to leave, too.
844-500-4240. Why do you think the Democrat, and when you talk about this, people are fed up about this kind of stuff, like all the arrests that were made in Massachusetts. They know what's going on, not just in Massachusetts, but everywhere. They know that the illegal aliens are on welfare. They know that they're selling heroin, they're MS-13 gangbangers, et cetera, et cetera. Why do you think the Democrats are going to do well in the midterm elections?
Their base is white hot. There isn't that much for our base to be white hot about right now, which is why
How about the economy being white hot?
Yeah, that's good, but that isn't enough to really drive people to come out. I mean, that's sort of an abstraction unless you yourself in your burned out factory town and your husband have good paying jobs, and maybe they do, maybe they don't. The left is so hysterical right now. There is going to be no trouble ginning them up. As I recommended last week, and Trump seems to have taken me up on it, his calendar needs to be blocked out for September and October, and he should go back to campaign mode, giving rally speeches every single day. And if he shuts down the government over the wall or starts building the wall, the blue wave will be a blue trickle.
Well, let me ask you about something else, Ann. How about the fact that the social justice warriors at the CBS network, like Les Moonves and Jeff Fager at 60 Minutes, which has been promoting Stormy Daniels and was her terrible treatment at the hands of Donald Trump and Bill Clinton, he was persecuted just because he had an affair with Jennifer Flowers way back when, et cetera, et cetera. Now these people are all being outed in, of all places, New Yorker magazine as being sexual predators themselves. Yes, although the Moonves case itself didn't impress me terribly. The CBS News story seemed worse, although less detailed. It seems pretty clear this is a Redstone. They're in a big Viacom fight with CBS because if you read the first few paragraphs, and it's only the first few pages that are on Moonves. It's nothing like the other Me Too cases. It isn't, whipping it out and masturbating in front of some poor female employee. It just sounds like, every time a boy hits on a girl. Well, he supposedly fired this woman, though, right? Supposedly, but that's a little, the retaliation claims are always subject to interpretation. It could be true. The retaliation would definitely be the worst thing. But not getting a job or being fired is not ipso facto proof that it was done for a bad reason. I just enjoy, I don't enjoy it, but I'm amused by the thought of Jeffrey Fager signing off on this. Yeah, let's get Stormy Daniels on here and talk about how bad Donald Trump is. When these multiple women are saying you had to get to Fager and pay your tribute to him early at a party before he had a couple of drinks because he got real handsy, kind of like Joe Biden, apparently. They called him Handsy Fager. Handsy Fager. No, those stories were much worse, and as you say, there's much more hypocrisy in the case of CBS News than in the case of Moonves at CBS. He wasn't. I guess he was a Democrat the way everyone. It's like breathing in L.A. Everyone's a Democrat. And now his alma mater, Bucknell, where one of my daughters went, has disappeared him from the website. He's really? He's now a non-person. It's in the Wall Street Journal this morning. They move fast. Yeah, they should. Yeah, you'd think he was Jonathan Gruber talking about how stupid the American people were. Remember how fast University of Pennsylvania got him off the website when that came out? And hang on the line, and we'll get your address to send you a copy of the U.S. Border Patrol hat. Excellent. Thank you. It's coming your way. All right. And you can get yours at HowieCarShow.com, HowieCarShow.